Hokage. Invincible from signing in at Mount Myoboku. Chapter 41. Ninja Cat Castle. The overall atmosphere here is still very good. After coming here once, the ninja cats all got to know Chiba. After throwing them a few pieces of wood knotweed, the ninja cats looked at Chiba with even kinder eyes. They are extremely welcome to such generous guests. Not to mention the relationship between Chiba and Nekomata. In the attic, Chiba met Nekomata again. It was still that oppressive body. But in some Onimon, Nekomata's body can only be considered average, or even much smaller. Chiba, who came out of Mount Myoboku, had naturally seen the bodies of those huge toads. So in his opinion, the Nekomata's body was not impressive enough. Has it reached its limit? Chiba gestured at it, considering whether to order a weight-gaining meal. The cat shook his head again and said, "I am a special species of cat with two tails. You can't judge our clan by the size of ordinary ninja cats." Hearing this, Chenny immediately became interested. "How big can you get?" The cat fell into deep thought again, and after a moment he spoke. "About 20 meters. It gives a rough estimate." However, when Chenny heard this, his expression was extremely surprised. You have to know that even Bunta is only 17 meters tall. A two-tailed cat can actually grow to 20 meters. It feels like it goes against the laws of nature. But when I think about it, even toads can grow to more than 10 meters. Chiba no longer considered the laws of nature. "Why are you in this shape now?" He roughly gestured. "It seems to be more than 2 meters. 2 meters is considered a huge thing for Chiba now." The cat felt a little ashamed and said, "Our clan grows in size according to the amount of chakra. And I have been practicing for a short time, so I can only obtain a certain amount of chakra by swallowing food." Chiba looked Nekomata up and down. "That being said, it seems like there is a lot of room for improvement. That's why you only used one genjutsu when you fought Sasuke." Chiba analyzed. The cat nodded and explained, "I only know that one illusion. The innate ability of the two-tailed cat clan." Hearing this, Chenny covered his face and remained speechless. "Indeed, we can't place too much hope on it. Yes, this is a ninjutsu scroll. It records some of the ninjutsu I collected." Chiba handed the ninjutsu scroll to Nekomata. Because of his huge body, this ninjutsu scroll is also extremely large. The cat claws of the Nekomata are very flexible, and they can even use special ninja tools such as cat kunai. Therefore, looking through a ninjutsu scroll is not a difficult task for it. Fire style, water style, wind style, taijutsu, and genjutsu. The cat became more and more shocked the more it looked. 2 pools of tears were swirling in the huge cat's eyes. "Meow, woo, woo, boss, you're so good to me. I'm a cat, and this is the first time I've met someone who's nice to me, meow." The cat suddenly hugged Chiba in his arms and rubbed him hard. Chiba reluctantly pushed it away and picked up the cat hair that had fallen. "Don't talk nonsense. If you want to repay me, then practice hard. Just help me share some of the battles in the future." The cat nodded repeatedly, its eyes full of gratitude. "While I have some free time now, I can guide you in your practice." Chiba cares a lot about his ninja cat. After the cat showed everything it knew, Chiba discovered unexpectedly, the fighting ability of the Nekomata is not weaker than that of the average Chunin. If it weren't for his lack of combat awareness, I guess I can also take the Chunin exam. Since you are strong enough, let's try 7 days of special training. Chiba gave Nekomata his first order. Before the Chunin exam, learn 3 jutsu. 2 ninjutsu and 1 taijutsu. Illusion Cat has its own, so there is no need to rush. Besides that, there is also some physical training. And fighting spirit training. Chiba's next words made Nekomata feel a little scared. "I will then come and give you one-on-one specialized combat coaching." Hiss. The cat tried again. "Isn't this bad? I've delayed your training, boss. What if Chunin passes the exam?" Before it could finish its words, it was interrupted by Chenny. "Don't worry about me. Chunin passed the exam without any problems." His words were full of confidence. The cat thought about it carefully again, and it seemed to be true. If it wasn't strong enough, how could it sign the summoning contract with Chiba? "Also, I'll make you some custom weights. You can wear it when you train later." The cat didn't think much about it. In its view, carrying weights is also a necessary requirement for practice. After instructing him on some of the key points of ninjutsu training, Chiba left the ninja cat castle. After returning to Konoha, he went straight to the Tenten ninja tool shop. Chenny had always kept in mind the request that Tiantian made to him because he lost a gambling match. Now, it's time to put it to use. Tiantian has been feeling a little irritable lately. It had nothing to do with anything else, but a figure that kept lingering in her mind. Hateful, he's just a kid who just graduated. Tenten thrust the kunai in his hand into the puppet in his hand. Why is it so powerful? And, she didn't continue speaking, but 2 blushes appeared on her face. Miss Tiantian, is there anything bothering you? Chiba's figure suddenly appeared in front of Tiantian. You can find me, Chiba. Guaranteed to cure all your problems, at a reasonable price. Tiantian looked at the figure appearing in front of her, and the blush on both sides of her cheeks quickly spread, directly occupying her entire pretty face. I don't have anything to worry about. I was just thinking about Chunan's exam. She seemed to have found a suitable reason. Looks very confident. I hope you don't have anything to worry about every day. Chiba's expression became a little depressed. But I ran into some trouble and needed to use the bet we made earlier. Tiantian straightened his expression and said, What is it? Chiba spoke out the answer he had prepared before coming here. Actually, when I was training, I met a guy wearing a green tights. He told me about his youthful enthusiasm and showed me the results of his training. I learned from him that he trains with weights every day. Having said that, the expression on Chenny's face became even more sad. In order not to be left too far behind by my new friends, I also thought about trying weight training. Listening to Chiba's words, Tiantian felt more and more familiar. The person you are talking about, isn't it Xiao Li? Chiba showed a surprised look. How do you know that? Tiantian pointed at himself with some pride and said, Xiao Li and I are in the same class. The weight-bearing device on his body was provided by me. Hearing this, Chenny was immediately delighted. Then do you still have this weight-bearing device? After talking for so long, we finally got to the point. In fact, Chiba himself knows it clearly. Xiao Li's weight-bearing device is not easy to get. Otherwise, he wouldn't have spent so much effort. The only breakthrough point is Tiantian. As the owner of Tiantian Ninja Tool Store, he naturally has his own channels. After listening to Chenny's request, Tiantian fell into deep thought. It's not like there's no weight-bearing device. Only, she seemed to be hesitant to speak, as if she had something to hide. Chenny sighed, it seems that I was reckless. Having said that, Chenny was ready to turn around and leave. Hey, wait, Tiantian looked a little anxious, and tried to persuade him to stay. There is indeed a weight-bearing device, but it was prepared by Teacher Guy for Xiao Li. Xiao Li has to change the weight-bearing device every once in a while. The remaining weights I have here are for Xiao Li's next step of training. Seeing that Chiba was about to leave, Tiantian did not hold back at all. But if you use it, Tiantian's face was a little tangled, I can lend it to you for a while. She gritted her teeth and made the biggest concession. The weight-bearing device is not something you can get on the street. This thing is very expensive, even if the entire ninja tool store only has a few sets. The one used by Xiao Li is the best of the best. Not only does it look small, but it also has a very high load-bearing capacity. Just 2 leggings weigh 1,000 pounds. So much so that during the Chunin examination, their strength was definitely among the best. Although there are only a few days left until the Chunin exam. But Chiba felt it necessary to struggle. Really? Chenny suddenly turned around and walked up to Tiantian, grabbed his little hand, his face full of gratitude. Feeling the warmth from the boy's hand in front of me. Tiantian's face turned red again. She was now like Hinata approaching Naruto at a close distance. Although in terms of personality, Tenten is much more cheerful than Hinata. But this was the first time she encountered such a thing. You, let me go first. The sound of the sky is like that of mosquitoes. If it weren't for Chiba's amazing hearing, he probably wouldn't have been able to hear what she said. Chenny let it go awkwardly, with a simple and honest smile on his face. After taking several deep breaths, Tiantian finally adjusted his mood. Let's go, the weight-bearing device is in the warehouse. Following Tenten, Chiba came to the warehouse of the ninja tool shop for the first time. The warehouse, filled with all kinds of goods, looks quite luxurious. Kunai, senbon, shuriken, chain hammer, tachi. Anything you can think of can be found here. The weights are over here. Tenten pointed to the back where the kunai box was placed. There was a white vest, a pair of wrist guards and a pair of leggings piled up there. Chiba walked forward excitedly and tried to pick it up from the ground. Tiantian lowered his little head and said softly, "These things weigh about 2,000 kilograms. You can try them first." Before she could finish her words, she was stunned by the scene before her. How is it possible? Under Tiantian's gaze, Chiba took off his coat, revealing a white lining underneath. After putting on the vest and wrist guards, he also felt a lot of pressure. In Chiba's estimation, that vest alone weighs over 800 kilograms. As for the wrist guards, the two together probably weigh around 800 kilograms. In comparison, leggings are much easier. The total weight is only about 400 kilograms. It's a bit strenuous. Chiba barely stood in front of Tiantian. You can actually bear such a heavy load." Tiantian's little face looked a little pale. The weight of 2,000 kilograms was beyond her imagination. Even for Xiao Li, it would take a long time of training before he could make the change. But on Chiba's side, he was able to bear the full weight. The most important thing is, judging from his expression, he doesn't look very tired. However, little did people know that Chiba also had his own difficulties. Now he can only walk normally. It is impossible to increase the amount of training. As for fighting, that is even more a fantasy. Just barely able to walk. Chiba tells the truth. The scene before him had a great psychological impact on Tiantian. In the previous battle, she thought Chiba was a ninjutsu genius. But now it seems that Chiba is better in physical skills. However, at the same time, new problems arise. "Chiba, have you signed up for the Chunin exam as well?" Tenten asked tentatively. Chenny did not hide this and nodded. "Yes, the number of tasks has been met. Teacher Kakashi applied for the Chunin exam for us. Yes, this is my candidate certificate." For a simple girl like Tiantian, Chenny felt guilty after lying to her once. If he continued to lie, he probably wouldn't have the heart to do it. Tiantian took the candidate certificate from Chenny and his face became paler. "As it stands now, what should I do if I encounter it in the Chunin exam?" No matter which side was injured, she seemed to find it hard to accept it. Just when it was struggling, a warm hand stroked her hair. "Don't worry about the Chunin exam, I'm here for you." The confident and warm gaze instantly melted the haze in Tiantian's heart. After looking at him for only 3 seconds, Tiantian suddenly lowered his head. From Chenny's perspective, he could just see his red ears. The sound is still as soft as a mosquito. After saying goodbye to Tiantian, Chenny returned to his own courtyard. To be precise, this was the residence that Jiraiya arranged for him. He reluctantly opened the door and walked in. Hiss. Chiba took a breath. It's really tiring, although his physical fitness is very strong. However, it is inevitable that one will feel a little uncomfortable when suddenly carrying such a heavy load. It will take at least 3 days to recover. Chiba has a rough idea of his physical fitness. During this period of time, let's temporarily stop the extensive physical training. He has his own training plan. It is enough to maintain a normal level of training. During these 3 days, Chenny has been training alone in his own courtyard. Except for the people from Class 7. I can only come to visit Chenny every day. She learned the location of his residence from Chenny. According to Tiantian's words, she was not worried about Chiba's health, but was worried about problems with her weight-bearing device. Seems like she's a little bit arrogant. Chenny looked at Tiantian who was leaving, touched his chin and thought. It seems that after several contacts, some extraordinary properties have been triggered. 3 days later, Chiba has adapted to the existence of the weight-bearing device. Fighting might be a bit difficult, but there is absolutely no problem with daily training. Hai Shuyu Shen Wei. As a trace of blood appeared on Chenny's finger, the summoning technique was successfully performed. The cat's huge body suddenly appeared in the courtyard. It's only been 3 days, but the cat seems to have grown a lot. Just looking at his height, he is already more than 3 meters tall. Good, Chenny exclaimed. It seems that the Mutian Liao flavored Bingliang pills are quite effective. In order to increase the strength of the cat, he went to the Akamaiki clan's Bingliangwan shop and ordered Bingliangwan with the flavor of Kitamura. There's also catnip flavor. In response, Nekomata has given up on Polygonum multiflorum and catnip. He turned to the Bingliang pills. Although it tastes a bit strange when eaten, cats with carefree personalities don't care about that. How about learning ninjutsu? Chiba asked about his learning progress. The cat showed a flattering look again and said, Chiba, I have completed the jutsu according to the mission goal you set for me. As for taijutsu, I'm practicing it now. Chiba nodded with satisfaction. From this we can see that Nekomata's talent is also very good. If it weren't for the lack of its own resources, perhaps the name of the two-tailed cat would have been known in the ninja world. But don't worry now. With Chiba's constant supply, we can definitely wait until that day. The two-tailed cat, a day to become famous in the ninja world. The time spent in practice passes quickly. Chiba has his own schedule. During the few days waiting for the Chunin exam, Hitaki Kakashi gave Class 7 a holiday. Uchiha Sasuke stayed in his family's land, undergoing closed-door special training. Chiba is pretty much the same. Only Uzumaki Naruto has nowhere to go, so he often comes to Chiba to hang out. Chiba had no choice but to pull him into the special training. The object of his special training was undoubtedly Nekomata. Little yellow-haired devil, I win this time. The cat was breathing heavily, with its limbs spread out in the air in a very ungraceful manner. As a cat, this behavior is indeed somewhat abnormal. Looking closely, the pads of its flesh are covered in sweat. For cats with underdeveloped sweat glands, this is the best way to dissipate heat. If possible, it would even stick out its tongue to dissipate heat. Unfortunately, there are no sweat glands on the tongue. This genius just let his guard down for a moment. Uzumaki Naruto also has no image at all. Or rather, he doesn't care about this kind of thing at all. The special training for one man and one cat is aimed at their combat aspects. Oddly enough, Chiba's battle awareness is much stronger than Naruto and Sasuke. The basic reward at that time also included basic combat experience. Apart from the three major techniques, Chiba's experience in combat is stronger than the other two. And his talent seems to be very good. After the trip to Wave Country, the fighting instinct has been integrated into his bones. Let's stop here for today's special training. Chiba took off his wet clothes. During this period, excluding food expenses, the biggest expense is the clothes. If you change and wash clothes twice a day, clothes made of slightly inferior material will be torn to pieces after a few washes. So Chiba had no choice but to buy a lot of clothes and throw them in the room. In order to save time, wet clothes are even thrown away directly. Uzumaki Naruto strongly condemned this wasteful behavior. Until Chiba paid for all the damage to his clothes. Uzumaki Naruto said that this small expense is not actually a waste. Sure enough, the law of true fragrance applies in every world. The exam is coming up soon. The status needs to be adjusted back. Chiba knows the importance of combining work and rest. He took the Chunin exam very seriously. After all, that concerns his next sign-in task. Yo, Uzumaki Naruto jumped up from the ground. Brother Chenny, is it time for dinner? As expected, talking to Uzumaki Naruto about his status is like talking to a cow. Yes. Chiba's voice sounded a little weak. There's nothing anyone can do when faced with a little brother like this. Who made him so soft-hearted? But the recent expenses are really scary. Chiba thought about it in his mind. The money he had saved was only enough to get through the Chunin exam. Looks like I need to go make some extra money. The Nekomata lying on the ground suddenly shuddered and jumped up abruptly. Boss, I have something else to do, so I'll leave first. The cat-like figure that should have disappeared into a cloud of smoke had a distorted face the next moment. Nekomata, I remember you seem to have some private money, right? Chiba remembered that he had a big dog owner around him. Although this dog owner looks a bit like a cat. The cat nodded pitifully and whispered. That was given to me by the ninja cats as a gift. Boss, can you please let go of the cat's tail first? Even though I have to, it would still hurt with your strength. Chenny shook his head and said, you also know that the boss has been worried about your practice during this period of time. So, you see, he hasn't finished speaking yet. The cat immediately put on a righteous look. Don't worry, boss. My money is your money, and your money is still your money. I will always keep your teachings in my heart. When he knew that he could not keep his private money, Nekomata decisively gave it all up to show his loyalty. Hearing what Nekomata said, Chiba nodded with satisfaction. Although it is not clear how much private money Nekomata has left, it should be enough to cover his expenses for a period of time. After the Chunin exam, money and other things will not be a problem anymore. Then let's go. Chiba went to take a shower, changed his clothes and prepared to go out. This small courtyard is fully equipped. I think Jiraiya must have put a lot of thought into it. He always kept the great Toad Sage's advice in mind. The cat returned to his own ninja cat castle. Although it has made great progress recently, it has never learned the reverse summoning technique. This also gave Chiba a headache. On the way to Ichiraku Ramen, Chiba considers whether to add a little more pressure to Nekomata. Nekomata, who was sitting on his big bed, suddenly shuddered. Achoo! It rubbed its nose and complained. There are always villains who want to harm me. Don't let me know who is trying to plot against me. Otherwise, he will be in big trouble. Uruka has been very irritable lately. It was not because of anything else, but the upcoming Chunin exam. Among the Konoha shinobi who took the exam this time, 9 were his recent graduates. I don't know what their teachers are thinking. Just after graduation, they were asked to take the Chunin examination. Especially that Kakashi, who actually used himself as an example. It is said that he passed the Chunin exam at the age of 6. When Naruto was this age, he had directly become a Jonin-level ninja. Is this comparable? Uruka was very dissatisfied with Kakashi's behavior. No, I have to find out the truth. Otherwise, I'll be worried. As a competent teacher, Uruka feels that he needs to be responsible for his students. Especially someone who is the last in the class. After seeing an opportunity, Uruka kidnapped Moegi in front of Uzumaki Naruto. By the way, led it into the dense forest in the village. However, something unexpected happened. Halfway through the journey, a powerful impact from the sky knocked him unconscious. He fell from a branch 3 or 4 meters high without any preparation. Snort, you want to kidnap Mang Huang in front of this genius. Don't you see yourself? Uruka-sensei. The failure of the transformation technique revealed Uruka's true face. Byway dumpling shop. Uzumaki Naruto looked at Uruka with a flattering expression. At this time, his head was wrapped tightly with bandages. Only the mouth and eyes are exposed, which looks a little funny. So you fell on your head. Chiba sat across from Uruka, trying hard to suppress a smile. Yes, Uruka looked depressed. His entire life's reputation was ruined by Naruto's hands. Laugh if you want to. Don't hold it in and it'll hurt your body. As soon as he finished speaking, Chiba's merciless laughter filled the dumpling shop. Haha, Mr. Uruka, you are in trouble. After hearing what Chiba said, the expression on Uruka's face became even more depressed. No one could have imagined it. Uzumaki Naruto's strength has improved so rapidly. Caught off guard, he was directly tricked. Uruka felt his head aching when he thought about it. Although I was injured, the expression on Uruka's face, however, was much more relaxed. But I feel relieved to see your improvement in strength. My students have made progress. As a teacher, this is the most gratifying thing to see. Although this progress has little to do with me, Uzumaki Naruto also respects Uruka very much. Even without the conflict of the Shuimu incident, the relationship between teacher and student would remain as strong as ever. After this incident fermented, Uzumaki Naruto's belief in passing the exam became even stronger. July 1st. Chunin exam, arrived as scheduled. On the bridge, Class 7 gathered again. Sasuke, I've been training really hard lately. Uzumaki Naruto said with a boastful look. Brother Chiba has helped me develop a very good special training plan. I will never lose to you. Upon hearing this, Uchiha Sasuke's expression froze slightly. After returning from the Land of Waves, he has always regarded Chiba as his target to catch up with. Even though we haven't seen each other for just a few days. But the person in front of him seemed even more terrifying. Tisk, you're just the last one. Uchiha Sasuke was also very dissatisfied. Hey, Uzumaki Naruto wanted to say something in rebuttal, but was suppressed by Chiba. Okay, we're all in the same class. Be nice. The smile on Chenny's face is very sunny. In his opinion, the atmosphere in Class 7 is very harmonious. But the other two were the kind of guys who refused to give in. Since you're all here, go sign up. Chiba said, Teacher Kakashi should be waiting for us. Uzumaki Naruto scoffed at this. I guess he has lost his way in life again. The registration location is at the ninja school. That is also where the first exam will be held. Ninja school. Hey, Chiba, are you going to sign up for the Chunin exam too? Xiao Li, who was wearing a green leather tights and looked like a BT, looked at Chenny and others in shock. Because every morning when I was practicing with weights, I would meet Xiao Li. So Chiba gradually became familiar with him. Didn't I tell you? A hint of doubt appeared on Chenny's face. I am a student who graduated from the ninja school some time ago and am taking the Chunin exam for the first time. Xiao Li reacted very strongly to this. Ah, so young and passionate people always think alike. Youth should be used for struggle. Seeing the excited Xiao Li, Uzumaki Naruto whispered. Brother Chenny, who is this watermelon-headed guy? Looks very weak. Although the voice was small, it could not escape Xiao Li's ears. Young man over there, let's have a duel where your youth is at stake. Xiao Li put his left hand behind his back and stretched out his right hand to gently hook it. Battle is the key to showing strength and weakness. Li's challenge to Naruto was somewhat beyond Chiba's expectations. This kind of magical development made him feel a little worried. By the way, with Naruto's current level, can he win? Although his current strength is much stronger than the corresponding period in the original world. But Chiba still doesn't think highly of Uzumaki Naruto. You know, after Xiao Li opened the Dumen, he completely turned into a human-shaped ferocious beast. Naruto's strength is still very limited without cheating. Hey, you want to challenge me? Uzumaki Naruto's face was shocked. As the dazzling radiance of this genius no longer obscurable. After the initial surprise, Uzumaki Naruto returned to his shameless state again. Although, he is indeed a genius. Thick eyebrows, you have very good eyesight. Uzumaki Naruto gave him a thumbs up. I'm rooting for you. Xiao Li put one hand behind his back and urged. Come on, I formally challenge you. As Chenny's companion, I hope your strength can match this identity. Regarding Xiao Li's words, Chenny raised his eyebrows, a little surprised. Although he defeated Xiao Li in the previous physical training. But what I didn't expect was that Xiao Li actually respected him so highly. Hey, I will definitely not embarrass Brother Chenny. Come on, fight. Chiba and Uchiha Sasuke stepped back slightly to give it enough space. Are you really going to let them fight like this? There was some concern in Uchiha Sasuke's words. Although it was very faint, Chiba was able to sense it keenly. Don't worry, it doesn't matter even if you're injured. Naruto has a very good physique. Chiba didn't take this to heart at all. The first exam is just a written test. No need to worry about the status. After all, as long as Naruto maintained that personality, he would be able to pass the exam without any problems. Both sides were on high alert and did not relax at all. The battle is about to begin. Bang! The next moment, the two sides collided with each other. Like two wild beasts fighting for their lives, they created a huge storm on the field. Naruto has a strong talent for learning. In the battle competition with Nekomata in the past few days, he learned the Nekomata's attack style. That is, rely on your own instincts. Although foxes are canines, they are very similar to cats in many aspects. Under Kurama's influence, Naruto naturally also has some changes. Therefore, Nekomata's attack method is very suitable for him. However, Xiao Li on the opposite side had a flash of shock in his eyes. He felt that he was not facing a ninja, but it is a frantic tiger descending the mountain. The difference between the two men's physical skills is not that big. Of course, this is also related to the fact that Xiao Li did not give his full strength. Moreover, he also had a heavy weight on his shoulders. After all, no matter how talented Naruto is, it is impossible for him to surpass Rock Lee in just a few days. Come to think of it, which of the 12 young warriors of Konoha is not a genius? Even little Sakura has unexpected talent in chakra control. However, Chiba, who occupied her place in Class 7, was clearly stronger. The two are totally not on the same level. Bang bang bang. Continuous collision sounds rang out in the venue. Uchiha Sasuke watched the battle in front of him with a look of deep horror in his eyes. Is this the progress Naruto has made in recent times? His voice was very low, but Chenny, who was standing next to him, heard it. Uzumaki Naruto is not the so-called tail ender. He is also a true genius, and is no less talented than you. Chiba's voice was flat, without the slightest fluctuation. But every word seemed to pierce Uchiha Sasuke's heart. If you continue to maintain your so-called pride of the Uchiha clan, I think Naruto will catch up with you soon, or even surpass you. There was not a single word of falsehood in Chiba's words. This is indeed the case. Even if Chiba didn't appear, Uzumaki Naruto would be in the later time. From a last-placed person, he gradually caught up with Sasuke, the top rookie, and even surpassed him. Think about it carefully. Chenny threw down a sentence and ignored him. At this time, the battle on the field has entered a fierce stage. There is no doubt that Naruto is at a disadvantage. Xiao Li's attack, which was like a violent storm, was simply beyond his ability to withstand. After only a few minutes of competition, Naruto was completely at a disadvantage. Bang! A powerful punch suddenly hit the weak point where Naruto's hands were crossed, causing him to retreat repeatedly. Seeing this scene, Xiao Li's eyes suddenly lit up. Chance! Shadow Dance Leaf! A roar echoed throughout the venue. With Xiao Li's high kick, he hit Uzumaki Naruto's chin. Uzumaki Naruto was instantly sent flying into the air, completely losing the ability to resist. Chenny's eyes widened and he recognized this move. Next, it should be a move like Lotus, right? As expected, Rock Lee followed Uzumaki Naruto and jumped behind him. The straps on his hands had been quietly loosened. Swish! A cold light flashed in the air. The kunai hit Xiao Li's bandage directly, pinning him to the far wall. Chiba won't wait any longer. If it was Uchiha Sasuke fighting Lee, perhaps he would continue to wait and see. But Uzumaki Naruto is his younger brother. If the big brother doesn't take action, does he have to wait for others to rescue him? At the moment when Kunai's rescue was completed, a windmill also flew through the air. Just missed the bandage that was nailed to the wall. How is that possible? In the distance, a slightly low voice sounded. Judging from his tone, he seemed very surprised. Plum. Have you forgotten what you promised Mr. Guy? Bang. Naruto fell from a high altitude and landed directly on the ground. When Chiba saw this scene, his nose twitched a few times. He would never admit it. I was so surprised to see the big turtle just now that I forgot about Naruto in the air. This stain should be blown away by the wind. Apparently, even Naruto himself forgot about the pain in his body when he saw the turtle. A talking turtle. Brother Chiba, can a turtle also be a ninja's teacher? He widened his eyes, somewhat unable to believe it. Forbidden technique is not allowed to be used casually. The turtle looked serious. I think it's necessary for Mr. Guy to teach you a lesson in person. The next moment, smoke rose. Obviously, the Ninja Turtle's reverse summoning technique is much more proficient than the Nekomata's. Seeing this scene, Chiba also made up his mind. After the Chunin exam, be sure to have Nekomata learn the reverse summoning technique. No matter the cost. At the same time, Nekomata, who was far away in the ninja castle, shuddered. He almost dropped the huge rock on his body. There are always villains who want to harm me. Might Guy's enchanting figure appeared in front of everyone. Chenny took a look and quickly turned his head away. To be honest, this kind of scene has a great impact on people's spirit. In his opinion, it was no less powerful than ordinary illusion. Really, you guys are so youthful. This strange educational method was presented to Class 7 for the first time. Whether it's Uzumaki Naruto or Uchiha Sasuke, it's also Chiba. Their three views have all been impacted to a certain extent. Although it was expected, Chenny covered his face, weakly. But seeing this scene in reality is still too shocking. Might Guy and Xiao Li hugged each other and cried bitterly. Plum, running under the sunset is the real youth. Might Guy looked off into the distance, tears streaming down his face. As punishment, I decided to make you run around the village 100 times. Yes, Mr. Guy. Xiao Li always obeys Might Guy's words unconditionally. I suddenly feel this atmosphere in front of me. Uzumaki Naruto scratched his head. It looks like it's pretty good. Hearing this, Chenny's eyes suddenly lit up. Seems like a good development. Hatake Kakashi's deliberate favoritism made Uzumaki Naruto not taken seriously. Instead of doing that, why not give him to Might Guy? If it's just about training in physical skills, there's no problem at all. As he thought more deeply, Chiba felt that this plan was absolutely feasible. It's free anyway, so just give it a try. Uzumaki Naruto had no idea that he had been betrayed by his elder brother Chiba. Naruto, what do you think of this guy teacher? Chiba has already started to sound out the issue. Uzumaki Naruto scratched his head and said, very enthusiastic. And still very youthful. As soon as the word youth came out, it immediately caught Might Guy's attention. Hey, that boy over there. Do you like youth, too? Chiba explained. Teacher Guy and Teacher Kakashi are close friends. You can also think of them as eternal rivals. Apparently he stole Might Guy's lines this time. The main reason is that Chiba's words will make Naruto more convinced. To be precise, Mr. Guy's ability is stronger than Mr. Kakashi's. Chiba's words put Uzumaki Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke into a state of shock. They were stunned and couldn't believe it. This psychopathic man in front of me is actually stronger than Hatake Kakashi. Hatake 50-50 and Might 1-1, who is stronger? If you look at it now, it's definitely Guy. Once the 8 gates are opened, God will kick you. Hatake Kakashi, with just a Sharingan, doesn't have the strength to stop 8-gate Guy. I didn't expect you to know me so well. Might Guy's voice appeared behind the three of them. Chiba noticed this and his pupils shrank slightly. With his current strength, he could only vaguely capture Might Guy's actions just now. I guess you are the Chiba that Kakashi mentioned. Might Guy placed his hand on Chiba's shoulder. At that moment, Chiba's perception was frantically warning him. He is definitely no match for the man in front of him. A very special boy. This is what Might Guy said about Chiba. How about joining the ranks of youth? Might Guy's words were beyond Chiba's expectations. Obviously, it can be seen from his eyes. He still admires Chiba very much. I heard about your youthful and passionate training from Shaoli. You understand youth better than Kakashi. Might Guy gave his thumbs up. White teeth revealed. Chiba didn't know if it was his illusion. He seemed to see a ray of light flash before his eyes. Well, if you accept the guidance of Mr. Guy, Chenny said very tactfully. I think it's a great thing. But, hearing the previous words, a smile appeared on Might Guy's face. However, as soon as this happened, his face changed suddenly. No buts, boy, youth does not allow slacking off. Might Guy pressed down on Chiba's shoulders, and powerful force came from his arms. No, Mr. Guy, calm down first. I just want to bring Class 7 with me to receive your guidance. Chiba speaks very fast. He was worried that if he spoke too slowly, Might Guy might do something drastic. After all, we are companions. Chiba looked righteous. As companions, we should make progress together. Embrace the passionate youth together. Might Guy looked shocked when he heard his words. In response to his rich expression, Chenny no longer wanted to say anything. I feel tired. Is this your enlightenment? Might Guy looked at his beloved disciple Shaoli. Li, you need to learn more from Chenny. This is youth without regrets. The two hugged each other and cried again. Chenny looked at the two of them, with countless words in his mind that he wanted to complain about. But there are too many things I want to complain about. For a moment, I didn't know where to start. I just want to see what the prince and Urzuzi look like wearing green tights. What the hell does this have to do with a regret-free youth? However, Chiba didn't notice it. After he said this, Uchiha Sasuke looked at him. Extremely complex. Uzumaki Naruto, on the other hand, always had a look of admiration on his face. Brother Chiba is his spiritual pillar now. No problem, boy. Might Guy suppressed his emotions and put on his brightest smile. Besides, the time for the Chunin exam is almost up. If you don't hurry up, you might miss the Chunin exam. Chenny's face changed as he realized the importance of the situation. He grabbed Nibashi and Naruto with both hands and ran towards the inside of the building. Shaoli and others followed closely behind. Might Guy looked at their receding backs and said with emotion. What an enviable youth. In the last 3 minutes, Chiba and others successfully entered the examination room. They seemed to be the last group to arrive. The moment they broke into the classroom, all the candidates' eyes were fixed on these 6 people. The murderous look in his eyes made Sasuke and the others look a little solemn. However, the thick-skinned Shaoli and Naruto did not take what they saw to heart. As for Chenny, he took a step forward. The terrifying murderous aura emanating from him instantly enveloped the entire class. Quiet. No sound was heard, and everyone seemed to have pressed the pause button. Gurgle. The sound of someone swallowing broke the silence in the classroom. Everyone looked at Chenny with horror in their eyes. Hey, why is everyone so quiet? Uzumaki Naruto scratched his head, confused. His words made Chenny retract his murderous intent. What I learned from Zabuza is as useful as ever. Chiba's own murderous aura, plus Zabuza's murderous aura. The combination of the two achieves the effect of 1 + 1 being greater than 2. They were just too surprised. Next to him, a ninja wearing glasses walked out from the crowd. Let me introduce myself. I'm Yakushi Kabuto. Having gone through 6 Chunin exams, I'm considered experienced. Chiba looked at the man in front of him with interest. one of the leaders of the Fourth Shinobi World War, the Dream Maker Yakushi Kabuto. His current identities are multiple spy, intelligence collector, and best actor. In the entire ninja world, he is considered an extremely special existence. As your senior, I feel it is necessary to remind you. Before the exam started, everyone was very anxious. Also, I will give a little help to you lovely juniors. Yakushi Kabuto took out a bunch of cards from his pocket. On the orange-red basic background, there is a huge, Ren, logo. This is a ninja card. Using special methods, information is recorded on it. Yakushi Kabuto half knelt on the ground and spread out the ninja card. If it is injected into my chakra, the information will be displayed. I have been collecting information for the past 4 years in order to pass the Chunin exam. Bang! Images and fonts appeared on the ninja card. There are even 3D drawings on it to indicate some information about the Chunin exam. Chenny's eyes showed deep interest. A magical unfolding. It seems that the technology tree of this world has never been right. After an initial explanation by Yakushi Kabuto, Konoha's newcomers have gained some understanding of the Chunin exam. But new problems also arise. Is there any card that records personal information in detail? Uchiha Sasuke is very concerned about certain people's information. Yakushi Kabuto pushed his glasses up on his nose and said, "Yes, is there anyone you are interested in? I can help you find it." Hearing this, Uchiha Sasuke said without hesitation, "Gaara from Sunagaku." This person appeared behind him without him noticing. Uchiha Sasuke cares a lot about it. Yakushi Kabuto nodded and pulled out a card from the pile of shinobi cards. It will be much easier to find if you have a name. Gaara of Sunagaku, found. As chakra poured in, Gaara's image suddenly appeared on it. But the expected data did not appear. Because he is also a newcomer like you. So the intelligence is limited. 8 C-level missions and 1 B-level mission. Yakushi Kabuto looked at the data on the shinobi card and said, "Genin has performed B-rank missions before, that's amazing. It is said that he returned unscathed from his B-rank mission." Yakushi Kabuto's words gave Uchiha Sasuke a strong sense of crisis. As for the B-level mission, he had just tried it not long ago. However, the result was that he was almost seriously injured and died. Such a gap inevitably makes Uchiha Sasuke feel a little unbalanced. "So, Senior Kabuto, do you have any information about Chiba?" A crisp voice came from behind the crowd. Chenny was a little curious and looked in the direction of the sound. Tiantian looked at him with a determined gaze. Being stared at by him, Chenny touched his nose and felt a little guilty. The newcomer to Konoha, Chiba. Yakushi Kabuto and Chiba looked at each other and smiled slightly. "Is it convenient to show you?" Chenny didn't care about this and said, "Can." The ninja card spun at high speed, and the smoke and dust dispersed. Chiba's information appeared on it. Chiba, the genin of Class 7, the class teacher is Hitaki Kakashi. 7 D-level missions and 1 C-level mission. They all completed their missions without taking any damage, and they were very balanced in every aspect. Looking at the pentagonal warrior that appeared on the ninja card, everyone's mouth twitched slightly. Is this a monster? Nara Shikamaru had a look of horror on his face. As a member of the Nara clan, he knew very well how terrifying the existence of such data was. Whether it is ninjutsu, physical skills, or ninja tools, there are absolutely no so-called weaknesses. This kind of person can definitely be described as a monster. Chiba looked at the information on the ninja card and fell into deep thought. The mission of Wave Country was obviously classified as C-level. Obviously, Konoha's top leaders concealed everything that happened in the land of waves. As for the specific situation, only some people know it clearly. This also shows that Yakushi Kabuto's intelligence still has certain flaws. But even so, it's pretty good. Looking at his pentagonal data, Chiba was very satisfied. For those eyes that are looking at me, he didn't take it to heart at all. Since he had taken the Chunin exam, Chiba no longer thought about being able to remain in hiding. At this moment, he has officially entered everyone's sight. And during the Chunin exam, he had to pay attention. Just one of Konoha's Sannin hiding among them is Orochimaru, the Wind of Disaster. What a scary newcomer. Yakushi Kabuto's lenses reflected the light, and he seemed to be thinking. As he spoke, he pulled out another ninja card and began to introduce the intelligence to everyone. This time, it concerns the number of people taking the Chunin exam in each country. However, when mentioning Odogakure village, there was a hint of disdain in his words. Because it's a small ninja village, there isn't much information. At this moment, hurried footsteps were heard among the crowd. It seems a little anxious. Chiba reached for his ninja tool bag. Oink! 3 kunai were thrown high into the sky. Everyone was still wondering why Chiba threw kunai into the air. Suddenly, 3 figures emerged from the crowd. Ding ding ding. The sound of metal clashing against each other could be heard from the 3 sound ninjas. However, the huge impact force from the kunai instantly knocked them back. During the exam, no disturbances are allowed. There was a hint of inviolable majesty in Chenny's calm voice. Little devil, you are a busybody. It was obvious that Toss was very dissatisfied with Chiba. If you want to die, I don't mind fulfilling your wish. The murderous look in his eyes immediately choked Toss's second half of the sentence in his throat. Chiba's move made the other ninjas in the examination room. I am even more afraid of it. The scary new guy. It's like a monster. This year's Chunin exam seems to be more difficult. Words like these were heard in the examination room. Until smoke rose above the podium. Be quiet, you bunch of idiots. The guys from Odogakure. Morino Ibiki looked sternly and fiercely towards the back of the classroom. There was a conflict between the ninjas from Odogakure and Konoha village. Although you are an examiner, you must be fair and just. But he still stood on Konoha's side without hesitation. You'd better not do anything in the examination room. Otherwise, all of you get out. The 3 sound ninjas looked at Chiba angrily, still somewhat unconvinced. However, when he noticed Morino Ibiki's expression, he withdrew his hand awkwardly. Little ghost, I hope you will always have good luck. The single eye under Toss's forehead protector emitted a fierce light. In his opinion, he was just careless just now. The other party was just a newcomer who was taking the Chunin exam for the first time. It was pure luck that I was able to hit myself. The first exam is a written test. I will explain the exam rules to you and will not answer any questions after that. Ibiki Morino picked up the chalk and started writing and drawing on the blackboard. In fact, Chiba knew about this written test. The finale all lies in the last question. This old fellow, Morino Ibiki, is good at playing psychological warfare. Although compared to the original world, Uzumaki Naruto has changed a lot. But Chiba knew that Naruto's mentality was tougher than before. So he was not worried at all about this exam. But what interested him were the first 9 questions of the written test. It's a compulsory course in the ninja school. After Morino Ibiki finished explaining the rules, the test papers were distributed to everyone. Chiba looked at the test paper. The first question, a coded question, passed. Question 2. In the picture, B of the parabola stands on a 7-meter high tree, and the picture shows the maximum range of Ninja A's shuriken. The answer will be the characteristics of the opponent ninja within the oval drawn by the shuriken. And the maximum range of the plane combat, and write down the. What kind of a joke is this? Chiba roared inwardly. As a ninja, do I need to know this? I'm just having a fight, and I have to calculate the parabola rules for you. Dry. Chiba also has his own answer to this completely out of scope question. He scribbled his answers on the test paper. Throw the shuriken and kill with 1 strike. If 1 shuriken doesn't work, throw 2. If 2 pieces are not enough, it is recommended that you just use your fists to fight. Ninjutsu is also under consideration. As a former poor student in exams, Chiba has always hated these kinds of questions that are extremely brain demanding and have no practical significance. When he watched anime in his previous life, he had never seen any ninja calculate the range of shuriken. Chiba finished the second question quickly. Continue looking at the other questions on the test paper. The third question is even more extreme. The impact of the environment on combat, geology, wind direction and the amount of rain. Don't care about life or death, just fight if you don't agree. This is Chiba's answer. He was unwilling to waste his time thinking about such a boring problem. The next few questions are similar. It was the 9th question that attracted Chiba's attention. What should you do if you are alone and encounter an unbeatable enemy ninja during a mission? This kind of subjective concept topic is Chiba's favorite. You can just let it go. If I can't win once, I will fight a second time. I am always in a state of battle. I, Chenny, will never be weaker than others in my life. The exam lasts 1 hour. It only took Chiba 10 minutes to complete it. He put down the pen in his hand and looked around leisurely. Uzumaki Naruto, who had completely given up hope, had a look of despair on his face. Uchiha Sasuke is in a state of panic and has difficulty controlling his emotions, and there are signs that the Sharingan will appear. Regarding the underlying rules of this exam, some smart ninjas have already discovered it. It is entirely possible to cheat without being discovered by the examiner. Chiba's confident expression was also noticed by other ninjas. Before, when Chiba targeted the 3 sound ninjas, he attracted a lot of attention. As a result, his test paper became one of the targets of ninjas with cheating ability. Wait, what on earth is going on with this weird answer? Don't care about life or death, just fight if you don't agree. It seems to make sense to always be in a state of combat. All the candidates who paid attention to Chiba's test paper had somewhat abnormal expressions. His face was distorted, as if he had choked on his food. Swish, the kunai flew past Chiba's eyes. It fell on the test paper of a candidate sitting behind him. Cheat 5 times and you are no longer eligible to take the exam. This seems to be a signal. As the first candidate was expelled, other candidates were discovered one after another. However, among the newcomers taking the Chunin exam this year, no one was caught cheating multiple times. Only the silly Uzumaki Naruto was completely frightened. What should I do? What should I do? He looked at Chiba, who was 2 people away from him, wanting to seek some help. However, Chiba responded with the thumbs-up gesture he learned from Might Guy. Come on, Naruto. Chapter 51. Chiba's performance was also noticed by Morino Ibiki. Funny little devil. It seems that I can't even finish reading the questions in this short time. I suddenly became interested in his test paper. Ibiki Morino was in a dilemma. As the chief examiner, he cannot leave his seat without permission. The podium is the place where you can see the overall situation. Forget it, it won't be too late to look at the test paper after the exam is over. The kid under Kakashi should be called Chiba. Chiba leaned on the table at the back, glancing at everyone boredly. He now looks more like an examiner than a candidate. Number 27 has cheated 4 times. Tisk tisk, what a cheap way of cheating. But the examiner doesn't seem to be that good either. Chiba muttered to himself. His observation skills are much better than those of the examiners sitting next to him. Number 89 is going to be unlucky. This is probably the 5th time he's been discovered. Eyes of Sand, this ninjutsu is pretty good. Time flies. After many candidates showed off their skills, they finally got the correct answer. Okay, time's up. Now it's time to announce the 10th question. Ibiki Morino looked at the remaining candidates in the examination room with a dangerous smile on his face. Before that, there is a rule of despair that everyone needs to know. Answer or no answer to question 10. If you choose to give up answering the 10th question, you and your team will be eliminated. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone started talking about it. An atmosphere of anxiety, frenzy and uneasiness spread among the candidates. And those who choose to answer the 10th question but fail to answer it correctly will be permanently disqualified from the Chunin exam. As soon as these words were spoken, they caused an uproar. The atmosphere changed again, and despair hung over everyone's hearts. No one is absolutely sure that they can answer the 10th question. The difficulty of the first 9 questions says it all. The 10th question will definitely be more difficult than the previous ones. This is the consensus of everyone. Struggle is brewing in everyone's heart. Sensing the change in atmosphere, Chiba looked at Morino Ibiki with some surprise. The interrogation captain of the surrounding Anbu was simply perfect in controlling people's hearts. Just a few words can drive people's hearts into an abyss of despair. Well, let's get started. Those who choose not to answer question the 10th of May raise your hands. As these words were spoken, the atmosphere around them became increasingly solemn. Chiba noticed that Uzumaki Naruto was biting the pen tightly. The veins on his hands were exposed and his expression was extremely ferocious. Cold sweat dripped down his forehead. Obviously, we have entered the stage of difficult decision-making. The departure of dozens of candidates made the air around them seem to freeze. An expression of despair appeared on everyone's face. It was as if a pair of huge hands were strangling their throats. Under Chiba's gaze, Uzumaki Naruto raised his hand tremblingly. He is struggling inside. Chenny was not at all panicked about this. Even felt like laughing. If you want to make Uzumaki Naruto give up, killing him might be enough. Don't underestimate me, I won't run away from the battlefield. Even if I have to be a genin for the rest of my life, I will become the Hokage with just one breath. I want to change this sick world. Hearing the last sentence, a smile appeared on Cheni's face. It seems that what I said before is still rooted in Naruto's heart. This is a sick world. This is an important truth that Chiba once told Naruto. As for the goal of Hokage, it was what Naruto had always adhered to. Is there anyone else who chooses to give up? This is a decision that affects your entire life, so please consider it carefully. Ibiki Morino is still manipulating people's hearts. However, what Naruto said just now gave everyone a shot in the arm. Isn't it just a lifetime of genin? It doesn't matter. This is the mentality of the candidates who are still in the examination room. The most important thing is not to give up. Well, since no one chooses to give up. Morino Ibiki sighed. I declare this to everyone present. First exam, all passed. This was a completely unexpected development that caught everyone by surprise. After Morino Ibiki explained the real purpose of this exam, some people also showed expressions of relief on their faces. Bang! The glass in the examination room made a shattering sound. A dark shadow rushed into the examination room. Really, now is not the time to be happy. The visitor had a slender figure and a resolute and courageous expression on her face. I'm the examiner for your second exam, Mitarashi Anko. Come with me, the second test is next. A huge black cloth covered Morino Ibiki. Pay attention to the atmosphere. His voice came from behind the black cloth. Mitarashi Anko blushed slightly, and only then realized that the atmosphere around her was a little strange. She quickly changed the subject. 78 people, 26 groups of candidates. There are too many people who passed the first exam. I've decided that I'm going to eliminate more than half of the people in the second exam. Konoha Training Ground Number 44, Entrance to the Forest of Death. Genin candidates gathered here, waiting for the next exam. Mitarashi Anko stood in front of everyone, explaining the rules of the upcoming Chunin exam. This is the Forest of Death. You will soon experience the fear of death firsthand. Hearing this, Uzumaki Naruto interrupted. Humph, this thing can't scare me. Mitarashi Anko narrowed his eyes and threw a kunai at an extremely fast speed, heading straight for Naruto. Bite. The sound of metal clashing against each other rang out at the entrance of the Death Forest. Now, take action against the examinee. Chiba put his hands in his pockets, looked at Mitarashi Anko, and said. It seems that this is not allowed. He had little respect for the unruly examiner. Seeing that his kunai was blocked, Mitarashi Anko, who had just wanted to give everyone a warning, suddenly felt embarrassed. But then, a dangerous smile appeared on his face. Hey, funny kid, you must be the number one newcomer this year. Mitarashi Anko played with the kunai in his hand and said. I have some impression of you, a student in Kakashi's class. In response to this, Cheni said neither humbly nor arrogantly. Thank you for your consideration, examiner. Let's announce the exam rules first, so as not to keep everyone waiting. Hearing this, Mitarashi Anko straightened his face and became more serious. She took out a stack of consent forms from her bosom and explained. This is the consent form. You need to sign it. Because the next exam may lead to death. So the village prepared this to avoid unnecessary trouble. See Mitarashi Anko start introducing the exam rules. Chiba retreated back into the crowd. Just now, he noticed an extremely dangerous gaze in the crowd. Staring at him intently, just like Lion Majesty hidden in the darkness. The pair of cold fangs had already locked onto Chiba. He is the person with the strongest perception among those present. Cheni could vaguely determine the location of the owner of this gaze. Kusagakur village. From the reflection of the forehead protector on his shoulder, Chiba saw the other party's identity. If I'm not mistaken, it should be Orochimaru, one of the Sannin. Sooner or later, we will face each other head-on. Cheni muttered to himself. He has been jealous of that sign in task for a long time. If necessary, he would definitely burst out all his strength to deal with Orochimaru. Although Chiba is not yet a match for Orochimaru. But since this is Konoha's home ground, I think Orochimaru will not make too much trouble. After all, he had other plans later. If it affects its subsequent plans, it would be a waste of time. It was precisely because of this that Chiba had the confidence to fight against Orochimaru. Otherwise, with his current level of strength, to confront Orochimaru, one of the Sannin, head-on is indeed an act of seeking death. Unless he also plays all his cards. But thinking about the consequences, Chenny shook his head. Even if the mission fails, you must never use all your cards. In short, in the next 5 days. Mitarashi Anko pointed to the forest of death and said. Everything depends on you. The consent form is passed to each person, giving them enough time to consider it. Even now, there is still an opportunity to choose to withdraw. But after experiencing the previous Naruto inspirational event, those who stayed were all determined or had ulterior motives. For example, a certain snake, and another certain snake. There was no need to hesitate. Chiba simply signed his name on the consent form. It is impossible to quit the Chunin examination in this life. After receiving the Book of Heaven, the teams dispersed to different entrances. The second round of the Chunin exam is about to begin. There are a total of 26 teams, and at least half of them must be eliminated. The competition can be said to be quite fierce. Class 7 entered through entrance No. 12. They were so leisurely, and compared to other teams, they looked more like they were here for tourism. Brother Chenny, is it really okay for us to be so relaxed? Uzumaki Naruto felt a little out of place. Maybe we should check out our surroundings or something. Uchiha Sasuke's suggestion. Chenny waved his hand and said. It's alright, the death forest isn't that scary. For us now, a stable mentality is the most important thing. As he said that, he looked at Uzumaki Naruto. Especially you, Naruto. What are you doing? Hearing Chiba's shout, Naruto turned around with an embarrassed look on his face and said. Because I was too nervous, I couldn't hold it in any longer. Chiba and Uchiha Sasuke both expressed helplessness towards their teammates. Over there, over there. The strange smell will attract some enemies with a keen sense of smell. Chiba waved his hand, signaling Naruto to move away. After Naruto walked away, Uchiha Sasuke asked in confusion. I don't understand. Why did you separate Naruto from us? This place is very dangerous. The smile on Chenny's face was somewhat dangerous. If he doesn't stay alone, how can he lure out the little bugs hiding in the dark? Chiba is very confident about Naruto now. You know, Naruto, who has undergone special training, has made the most rapid progress. With the physique of the Uzumaki clan, he is able to recover quickly after being injured. This is a huge advantage in battle. The same is true during training. It is precisely because of this that Chiba trained Naruto to death. As long as it can improve his strength, then use that method. Bang! How is that possible? An angry voice sounded not far away. From time to time, there was the sound of metal clashing, and the battle seemed to be very intense. You're just a new kid, how could you possibly find me? The guy from Rain Shinobi Village, always wearing a gas mask. This makes their voices sound a bit dull. Multiple shadow clone technique. Hey, let's go together. Uzumaki Naruto's fighting style is as bold as ever. If you say that you are extremely generous when it comes to money. Well, Uzumaki Naruto has never been stingy when it comes to chakra. Although most of the chakra is used to seal 9 tails. But even so, it is still extremely large. Hitaki Kakashi is very envious of this. What is this? The ninjas of Rain Shinobi Village were stunned at the sight of the densely packed orange-red figures before them. Why are there suddenly so many shadow clones? The swarm of Uzumaki Naruto instantly pinned him to the ground. The icy cold kunai locked onto its vital points. The first enemy, take it down. Snap, snap. Applause came from not far away. Chiba and Uchiha Sasuke walked towards Uzumaki Naruto. Not bad, you know how to use your advantages to fight. But you're still a little bit lacking in taijutsu. A big stick and a sweet date. We can't praise Uzumaki Naruto enough. Otherwise, given his personality, he would most likely float directly into the sky. It seems the cat wasn't cruel enough. Chenny nodded in agreement and said to himself. It looks like the cat needs to be more ruthless. Hearing this, sweat immediately dripped down Uzumaki Naruto's face. Ah, brother Chenny, I think this matter still needs to be discussed. Nekomata needs a rest too. Haha, you said so, didn't you, Sasuke? Chiba's words reminded him of the miserable memories from some time ago. Uchiha Sasuke was a little surprised. Through this time, he got to know Uzumaki Naruto. Of course, it was clear that Naruto was not the type to back down when faced with difficulties. But now it seems that Chiba's training method makes him feel scared. Suddenly I became interested. There was a light in Uchiha Sasuke's dark eyes, as if he had found a new way to become stronger. It's okay, people always have to grow up. Chenny waved his hand, looked at the Rain Shinobi Village ninja lying on the ground, and asked. Name, gender, and your scroll. A fierce look appeared in the eyes of the Rain Shinobi Village ninja. They are just a few little ghosts. Ah! The shrill screams echoed in the forest of death, startling the birds into flight. Chiba smiled and stabbed the opponent's palm with the kunai. I think it's best if you answer my questions truthfully. Seeing Chiba's smile, the Rain Shinobi Village ninja shuddered. What a smile that is. It is full of indifference to life, like an abyss. Oboro. My name is Oboro. The physical pain and mental retreat made Long decisively back down. Gender. Male, Rain Shinobi Village ninja, possesses the Book of Earth. Hearing this, Uzumaki Naruto became a little excited. I didn't expect to be successful in the first battle. The Book of Earth is exactly what we need. But Long's next words made his face fall again. I came here by myself to eliminate the aura. The Book of Earth is not in my hands, but in the hands of my companions. Uzumaki Naruto's face disappointed. Hey, you must be kidding. Feeling the murderous aura coming from the side, Long's face suddenly became extremely frightened. No, I'm telling the truth. If you don't believe me, you can search me. The Book of Earth is indeed in the hands of my companion. Chiba motioned for Naruto to search. Uzumaki Naruto didn't have any objection to this. In his opinion, Brother Chiba is the most trustworthy. However, after the search, his face was still very gloomy. No, Chenny half knelt, fiddling with the kunai stuck in his hand, and said. Take us to your companions. This forest is too dangerous for you. Long took a deep breath, and the pain in his hand filled his nerves. Okay. Boom. In an instant, a strong wind came. The strong wind created a wide passage through the ground. Wind-style great breakthrough. Chiba's reaction was still extremely quick. The seal was formed at the moment the strong wind hit. The same violent wind blew out of its mouth. The winds are blowing against each other, blowing through the forests. Trees fell down, dirt flew everywhere, and the scene was extremely spectacular. This year's little ghost is a little scary. Some cold voices came from the depths of the dark forest of death. She has long black hair and wears a light yellow ninja uniform with a purple belt knot on the back. There was no emotion in those dark eyes. I didn't expect that among the newcomers, there would be someone who could take on my ninjutsu. There was a slight emotional fluctuation in the other person's eyes when he looked at Chenny. Don't be polite. Facing this big boss from the early stage, Chenny was not at all panicked or afraid. On the contrary, deep in his heart and in his blood, there was a faint boiling sensation. Different from Momochi Zabuza, the person in front of me is the real strong one. No matter what, we still have to fight first. Chiba stretched his body, signaling Naruto and Sasuke to step back. Wind-style vacuum sphere. Dazzling hand seals were performed on Chenny's hands. The bulging cheeks are filled with violent wind attribute chakra. Call. The vacuum sphere shot out like a bullet, heading straight for the opponent. The little devil nowadays is really anxious. A soft female voice came out of its mouth. When I think about the identity of the person in front of me. This made Chenny feel a little chilly. Summoning technique. Hi, Shu, Yu, Shen, Wei. The speed of forming the seal seems slow, but it gives people a weird feeling. When the vacuum sphere is about to attack the opponent. In an instant, smoke rose. The temperature in the surrounding area dropped suddenly. Hiss, I suddenly feel a little cold. Uzumaki Naruto has not yet realized the seriousness of the situation. However, Uchiha Sasuke was already drenched in cold sweat. His keener perception enabled him to detect a terrifying murderous aura from the person who came. Compared with the previous Zabuza Momochi, the two are totally not on the same level. He felt as if he was being stared at by death. My whole body was shaking. I can't move. Uchiha Sasuke's eyes were bloodshot, and the Magatama was slowly turning in them. All right, Sasuke. Chiba suddenly appeared in front of Uchiha Sasuke and comforted him. Just leave this guy to me. Don't worry. Looking at Chiba's suddenly appearing back, Uchiha Sasuke felt inexplicably relieved. Thinking about his companion's performance in the previous mission, Uchiha Sasuke also gradually calmed down. Aren't you afraid of death? The soft female voice sounded again, as if it had the power to bewitch people. I'm afraid. How can I not be afraid? Chiba's frank answer was somewhat unexpected to the other party. His expression looked a little stunned. But I am confident that you can't kill me. HMPH, interesting kid. The other party snorted coldly. The smoke produced by the summoning technique dissipated immediately. A giant snake with a diameter of several meters suddenly appeared in front of the three people. If you are so confident, then give it a try. As soon as the words fell, a giant snake surged and rushed towards the three people. The fishy wind from the snake's kiss seemed to devour countless people. Chiba grabbed Uzumaki Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke with his backhand and dodged the attack with a leap. Snap! The trees under his feet were immediately bitten to pieces. Splinters of wood flew everywhere. What kind of monster is this? Uzumaki Naruto finally noticed the seriousness of the situation. How come such a strong ninja appeared in the Chunin exam? Chenny put the two people down and said, "Pay attention to yourselves, I might be distracted and can't come next. After all, the one in front of us is a ninja as famous as Jiraiya-sensei. Hi, Shu, Yu, Shen, Wei." Chiba also performed the summoning technique. Meow. With a fierce cat cry, Chiba's summoning beast officially appeared. "Nekomata, I'll leave these big snakes to you." Chiba gave him an order. "Orochimaru-senpai, let's continue." As soon as these words were spoken, the faces of the Kusagaku ninjas suddenly changed. "I was discovered by a little devil. What a failure." Orochimaru's voice was no longer gentle. Instead, the voice became hoarse and a little cold. "Calling that idiot Jiraiya a teacher. It seems like I need to be more serious." Although his identity was recognized, Orochimaru had no intention of changing back to his original appearance. But one thing must be mentioned. The face he chose was really not very good looking. However, when Chiba thought of some of Orochimaru's ninjutsu, he understood. Appearance and such, for Orochimaru, it's just something that can be ignored. Eternal life, that is what he is pursuing now. Compared to eternal life, nothing else matters. S-rank rebel ninja, the danger factor has reached its maximum value. Chiba said slowly. The fierce cat's meow echoed in my ears. Compared to the last time we met, Nekomata has grown a lot bigger again. Not counting the tail, it is 5 meters long. The black snake pounced, its tail wrapped tightly around the branch. The snake's pupils were fixed on the Nekomata that was flying back and forth between the branches. "Orochimaru-senpai, one of the former Sannin. Although I don't know what your purpose is, as a Konoha shinobi, I have an obligation to stop you." What a cocky brat. Orochimaru sneered. "Didn't Jiraiya tell you? Death will always haunt you." The moment he finished speaking, his figure disappeared from the tree trunk. Bang! The fists and palms collided, making a loud noise. Chenny took a few steps back and looked at the other party with a stern look. With just one contact just now, he felt the power of Orochimaru. Among the Sannin, his fighting ability is not the strongest. But even so, it is still far beyond the average Jonin. The soft palm seemed to be able to take away the force from Chenny's fist. In terms of physical skills, it's also very good. Orochimaru exclaimed, his eyes full of admiration. "You are much stronger than the other two brats. I can't use Genin standards to measure you." Konoha Gale. Snap! The branches under Chenny's feet made sounds of being unable to bear the weight. The force of the recoil made him disappear from the spot in an instant. The opportunity to fight Orochimaru is precious. Chiba will not give up this opportunity. Discover your own shortcomings through fighting. Compared to Orochimaru, who experienced the war, in terms of combat experience, Chiba still has great deficiencies. Orochimaru was somewhat horrified at the discovery. The boy in front of him seemed to have some of Might Guy's influence. Is it related to the blue beast? He jumped high, not wanting to confront Chenny head-on. Violent physical skills are not suitable for Orochimaru. They live with various snakes all year round. This resulted in Orochimaru being better at physical techniques such as jujutsu. For example, right now, its arm bent, bypassed the branches and headed straight for Chenny's vitals. Bang bang bang. The continuous collision sounds surprised Chenny. The opponent's body was able to completely absorb his strength. It seems that conventional physical skills are not enough. There was a gleam of excitement in Chenny's eyes. Faced with such a strong enemy, he decided to use some trump cards to deal with it. 8 inner gates, open, open. The air wave caused Chenny's feet to spin and vibrate. Remove limitations from your brain and unleash your body's 100% potential. Whether it is strength or speed, there has been a significant leap. Forbidden technique Ma. Orochimaru, who was well versed in various ninjutsu, naturally recognized the jutsu performed by Chiba. He had also studied this ninjutsu. But since it has nothing to do with eternal life, I just gave it a try. Jiraiya actually taught you this technique. Orochimaru's eyes flashed with anger. This is really too much. As Chiba continues to demonstrate his potential, he has made it his goal. For example, Soul Container. Boom, reaching the extreme speed, challenging the visual nerves of the onlookers. At some point, Uchiha Sasuke had activated the Sharingan. One single and one pair, it looks a little weird. But even so, it is impossible to capture Chiba's figure clearly. Too fast, he murmured, I can only vaguely see the afterimage. Uzumaki Naruto scratched his head and asked, why do you have to use your eyes to capture the figure of Brother Chenny? Brother Chiba taught me before, in a ninja battle. The eyes are the things that are most likely to deceive oneself. Hearing this, Uchiha Sasuke's body trembled. His eyes suddenly widened, thinking about the meaning of this sentence. Uzumaki Naruto didn't notice his expression change, but continued. Therefore, it becomes particularly important to feel the other person's aura. When a ninja abandons his eyes, he may be able to see farther. These are what Brother Chenny said, I just got the general idea. Leaf Great Whirlwind. Chiba unexpectedly discovered that Might Guy's ninjutsu was surprisingly useful. Especially in such a complex environment full of trees. Close combat techniques can have excellent effects. The right leg whipped in the air like a rope whip, making a violent air explosion sound. The attack missed and Chiba twisted his body. At an incredible angle, he flipped his arm and punched Orochimaru in the head. The intense battle caused his sweat to gradually soak his clothes. However, as Chiba's opponent, Orochimaru felt very frustrated. I just dodged it at the beginning. He directly entered into Chiba's attack rhythm. Just like the waves, one after another. Leaf Hurricane, Leaf Great Whirlwind. Not only is the speed astonishing, but the power is also terrifying. Orochimaru felt his body twitch slightly after just a single blow. Even after a while of relief, there is still a slight pain. This completely close combat style is not suitable for him. Just when he was getting annoyed, his movement slowed down a beat. Seeing this scene, Chenny's eyes suddenly lit up. Chance, Konoha Rising Wind. A powerful upper kick hit Orochimaru directly on the chin. Bang! The whole person flew directly into the air several meters high. Chenny bent his legs slightly, and powerful force exploded from his legs. In an instant, he caught up with Orochimaru in the air. At some point, a ball of metal wire appeared in his hand. The silk threads flew and instantly tied Orochimaru tightly. Represents Lotus. I used to train with Shaoli all day long. Chiba didn't do nothing. Through his eloquent speech, inspired by youth and passion. Finally, he tricked me into understanding Biaolianwa's way of cultivation. After several training sessions holding a wooden stake, Chiba successfully mastered this physical technique. Right now, it comes in handy. Chiba suddenly tightened the metal wire in his hand, firmly controlling Orochimaru inside it. Through his extraordinary perception, he could confirm that the Orochimaru in his hand was not a clone or something like that. But it is the real entity. Spin it, Chiba roared in his heart. He grasped Orochimaru's torso tightly with both hands and exerted force from his waist. Chiba carried Orochimaru and turned suddenly. The terrifying rotation speed also pushes its impact force to an extreme level. Boom! A loud noise was heard in the dense forest. The two men fell directly to the ground from a high altitude. The terrifying impact force caused the ground to crack like a spider web. In the center, there is a huge pit. Orochimaru himself was thrown headfirst into the ground by Chiba. Chian, Brother Chenny looks so strong. Uzumaki Naruto swallowed, horror flashing in his eyes. It's hard to imagine what would happen if Chiba used this trick on him. Uzumaki Naruto merely conceived it in his mind. Cold sweat kept dripping from his forehead. He will definitely die. Although he didn't say it out loud, this affirmative answer kept lingering in his mind. Uchiha Sasuke, who was standing by, wasn't in a much better mood when he saw this scene. Even with the Sharingan activated, he couldn't keep up with Chiba's speed. The terrifying rotation speed just now seemed to have reached the limit of the human body. Terrible Chiba. He kept this thought deep in his heart. At the same time, Uchiha Sasuke also had a deeper desire in his heart. When will I be able to reach Cheni's level? If such a day really comes, it probably won't be long before that man is killed. Thinking of this, Uchiha Sasuke looked at Chiba with eyes full of desire. The moment Cheni touched the ground, he clearly heard the sound of bones breaking. But in an instant, he sensed the presence of danger. Let go and jump up. Chiba quickly left the center of the pit and stood not far away, looking in the direction of Orochimaru with burning eyes. Ahem. The coughing sound made the three of them feel like they were facing a formidable enemy. Chiba looked in the direction where the cough came from, feeling extremely nervous. He is indeed a scary little devil. Orochimaru's voice came out again. Perhaps you are also a good choice. Even better than the Uchiha kid. The flying smoke and dust dissipated. Orochimaru appeared in front of the three of them. Compared to when we first met, he looked a little more embarrassed. The clothes on his body were torn in many places. The face, which was already ugly, became even uglier now. Orochimaru's face was full of pits, and dead skin fell off from time to time. He was hunched over and looked seriously injured. The occasional coughing further indicates his poor physical condition. What a pity. There was no emotion in Orochimaru's voice, only indifference to life. I still like this face. But it's already a bit damaged. Ahem. As he spoke, he coughed violently. I saw him lying on the ground, spitting out a lot of blood, as if he was seriously injured and dying. However, the more he looked like this, the more nervous Chiba became. Not fooled. What a vigilant little devil. Orochimaru saw that he had been coughing for a long time, but Chiba opposite him still did not make any other moves. There was disappointment in his words. Forget it. It's still quite dangerous to deal with you in this state. As soon as he finished speaking, Orochimaru suddenly opened his mouth wide. A pair of hands as white as jade stretched out from his mouth. Next came the head and the torso. Orochimaru Lu body replacement technique. Just like a snake shedding its skin, its body is transferred out from the external body. You don't seem surprised. Orochimaru's tone was also filled with calmness. Cheni nodded and said, I have some understanding of Orochimaru Senpai. It can be called the weird Orochimaru style body replacement technique. It can dodge almost all ninjutsu. Even if it was a close-range physical technique like the one just now. At this time, Orochimaru has returned to his original appearance. Her long black hair hung down her back, and her pale skin looked as if she had not seen the sun for a long time. The eyeshadow that extends to both sides of the nose is a mysterious purple color. What attracted the most attention were the pair of narrow golden pupils. Just like a real snake, cold and indifferent to everything. There is no emotion at all in his eyes. Did that idiot Jiraiya tell you? Orochimaru said tentatively. It seems that this guy attaches great importance to you. In response to this question, Cheni could only nod in agreement. You can't say that you are a prophet who knows everything, right? Orochimaru Senpai, do you want to continue fighting? Chiba was neither humble nor arrogant, and was not at all scared by Orochimaru's condition. Although the other party still has some reservations. But he didn't reveal all his cards. Now is not the time to reveal all your cards. In a dangerous place like the ninja world, you still need to remain vigilant. Although you used your unique body replacement technique to dodge certain attacks. But after all, you are still injured, right? Chiba noticed Orochimaru's slightly trembling body. Cough cough. Hearing this, Orochimaru stopped hiding his injuries. He coughed slightly, and scarlet blood appeared on his pale lips. The extremely strong contrast made Chiba confirm his previous discovery. Orochimaru dodged most of the damage though. However, a part of the lotus flower still hit him. Maybe it's the moment it touches the ground. Or somewhere else. Amazing observation. Orochimaru was not stingy with his praise. A more superior being, surpassing almost all of my experimental subjects. Cheni, are you interested in coming with me? To Chiba's surprise, Orochimaru actually invited him. Orochimaru, the most outstanding scientist in the ninja world, the immortal snake, the wind of disaster. At the moment, he showed great enthusiasm for a boy who was only in his teens. However, this also made Chiba more wary of the other party. Among the Sannin, the one in front of him is the most dangerous. Even in the later stages when gods were fighting each other, Orochimaru was still an extremely terrifying existence. After all, science is the primary productive force. I can give you even greater power. Help you realize your dreams. Orochimaru's face showed a fanatic look. Oh, yes. I forgot to ask you what your ideal is. Chiba's mentality is somewhat difficult to calm down. But from the surface, nothing can be seen. It's simple. Take control of your own destiny. Hearing this, Orochimaru's eyes suddenly lit up. A nice ideal. I am more and more satisfied with you. However, Cheni shook his head and refused. Orochimaru-senpai, there's no way I can go with you now. You know, I'm a Konoha shinobi. Teacher Jiraiya sent me here so that I could have a companion who would share my life and death with me. Chiba used his own trick of deceiving people, although it cannot be compared with Uzumaki Naruto's mouth-to-mouth technique. However, he also has a strong ability to deceive people. In order to carry out the will of fire to the end, I will stick to Konoha. Hearing this, Orochimaru showed a look of disappointment on his face. Well, what a pity. But we'll meet again. After saying that, Orochimaru's body gradually merged into the ground beneath his feet. However, when its head was about to merge into the ground, a meaningful smile appeared on his pale face. Orochimaru's disappearance. This made Uzumaki Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke both breathe a sigh of relief. Even if they were just watching the fight, the murderous aura he exuded had a great impact on the two of them. After all, they are just genin who just graduated from the ninja school. Even though he had experienced some battles, there was still a huge gap between him and Orochimaru, who had participated in the ninja war. Just the murderous aura from him would take a long time to get used to. Brother Chiba, you actually beat back that ninja just now. Uzumaki Naruto wasn't much help though. But his mentality is still very optimistic. Uchiha Sasuke, on the other hand, had a resentful expression on his face. Chiba guessed that he was blaming himself for his low strength. Uchiha Sasuke pursed his lips, the redness in his eyes having faded. However, his gaze contained extremely complex emotions. He couldn't even intervene in the battle, which was a disgrace to the Uchiha clan. Chiba ignored Uchiha Sasuke. Sometimes, verbal exhortations are not of much use. However, his fate has changed a lot. The most obvious point is that the curse is gone. With Chiba's intervention, Orochimaru left after the battle. There was no time to place the curse seal on Uchiha Sasuke. But there was one thing that made Cheni a little depressed. That is the sign in task, and there is no sign of completion. He estimated that he would have to face Orochimaru again in this exam. Okay, let's go. Chiba drove these thoughts out of his mind. We should go find other teams. The battle for the scroll has just begun. At the same time, in a hidden corner of the Death Forest, the ground opened up like flowing water, and Orochimaru's body emerged from it. There was interest in his eyes. Can't you come with me now? Sure enough, he is also a young man with a very different mindset. Because of the appearance of Orochimaru, Chiba and his friends did not obtain the Book of Earth. As for Rain Shinobi, he was blown away to who knows where in the initial storm. Maybe he died, maybe he ran away. Chiba stopped thinking about these trivial things. He is just an insignificant character. Now he just needs to find the other teams. Boss. After biting the giant snake's throat directly, the cat jumped down from the tree. I am very strong now, right? It showed off to Chiba. For this behavior, Cheni patted his head hard as a token of appreciation. The performance is pretty good. But now there is a more difficult task that you need to complete. Nekomata looked at Chiba's malicious smile. I was a little upset all of a sudden. It always feels that the feeling coming from its body now seems very familiar. As a ninja cat, your sense of smell should be very sensitive, right? Help me track down the other teams. Without waiting for it to react, Cheni turned over and sat on its back. Bang! The cat fell directly to the ground, sticking out its tongue, looking half dead. Chiba felt a little embarrassed when he saw this scene. I forgot to control my strength. I saw him slightly tightening his calves, and the bulging muscles of his legs were faintly visible under his clothes. Feeling the weight on his body disappear, Nekomata stood up tremblingly. However, it did not quite agree with Chiba's proposal just now. Boss, I'm a ninja cat, not a ninja dog. The cat complained again. According to the scent, isn't this a bit? Boom. Before he could finish his words, Chiba hit him on the head with a slap. A cat's sense of smell is much stronger than a dog's. If you keep making excuses like this, the amount of special training will be doubled next time. Hearing this, the cat suddenly wilted again. Although he looked reluctant, he still walked ahead. That's right, Chiba suddenly remembered his two companions from Team 7. Nekomata has a limit to what he can bear. So I'll trouble you two to try your best. Neither of them had any objections. After all, cats are Chiba's summoning beast. But what surprised Uchiha Sasuke is the Nekomata's load-bearing capacity so poor. It seems like it's only carrying Chiba now. A young boy weighs no more than 100 pounds. But looking at the cat's bared teeth, it doesn't look like it's faking it. It seems that Chenny also has his own secrets. Uchiha Sasuke thought so. 3 people and a cat, walking in the dense forest of death. The environment here is much worse than the jungle outside. Because it is Konoha's training ground number 44, Konoha shinobi brought all the harsh environments they could think of to here. In addition to the endless stream of poisonous insects, there are also various natural traps. Quagmire, quicksand, undercurrent. Chiba and his companions discovered 69 traps along the way. And this is only one morning. Boss, there is the scent of another team ahead. The cat twitched its nose a few more times and found a clue in the air. Hurry up, Chenny urged. Don't do it like last time, when we arrived. The other party has slipped away. As he said that, he jumped off the Nekomata with his backhand. Don't worry, boss. The cat regained its relaxed state and said excitedly. I will never let him escape this time. As soon as he finished speaking, his huge body disappeared in front of the 3 people. Good, what a fast speed. Uchiha Sasuke looked in horror at the direction where the Nekomata had disappeared. Uzumaki Naruto boasted. Sasuke, did you see that? That's the true speed of Nekomata. Brother Chenny must have eaten too much recently, which is why the cat can't move again. Bang, another blast. Ouch, Uzumaki Naruto cried out in pain, clutching his head. Chiba recently discovered that this explosive attack seems to be very useful. Whether it is for Naruto or for Nekomata. One slap on the face and he'll be good and obedient. I've been paying attention to my diet recently. Chenny said softly. Don't slander me at will. Yesterday at noon, I only ate 32 bowls of ramen. I have received a lot of task orders in Ninja Cat Castle recently. As a result, the cats and cats spent a lot of money to buy various necessary items for ninja cats. Items like cat ninja tools. Until the ninja cats complete their mission and return, the finances of the Ninja Cat Castle will be in deficit. This also forced Chiba to save some money. In fact, even he himself didn't expect it. As his practice becomes more intense, his appetite will also increase. The little money I saved before was not enough for daily expenses. What's more, there are the expenses of practicing. Items like medicine for injuries and sprains, as well as expenses for preparing for the Chunin exam. Wait, I think I thought of a good business opportunity. Chiba's eyes suddenly lit up. The next moment, his pace quickened and he quickly came above the Nekomata. 3 of you, if you don't want to be eliminated. Then hand over everything of value. Chiba's voice immediately attracted the attention of 3 people who were setting traps in the bushes. They looked up blankly. I still don't understand why I was discovered. However, when he saw the huge body of the cat, he shuddered. What kind of monster is this? The voices of the 3 people were trembling. Such a huge body was completely beyond their imagination. The fierce look in his eyes made the cat look extremely scary. Chiba tried his best to control his strength. He leapt down from the branch and landed on top of the Nekomata's head. 3 of you, weren't my words just now clear enough? If you don't want to be eliminated, please hand over all the valuables on you to me. Looking at such a huge creature, it seems very docile in front of Chenny. The Sunagaker team all swallowed their saliva. One of them trembled and pulled out a kunai from his ninja tool bag. Ooh, the Nekomata noticed his movements and let out a terrifying roar. A terrifying gale blew out of its mouth and hit the 3 people. They crossed their arms, bent their bodies, and tried to protect themselves from the strong wind. Wait a minute. We're willing to hand over our stuff. Hearing the other party give in, the cat immediately stopped roaring. This is a natural ability that is gradually discovered as his body grows. Its power is comparable to wind-style Great Breakthrough. And you don't need to make any seals, just open your mouth and yell. Nekomata is very satisfied with his talent. Chenny walked up to them, looked down at the 3 of them, and said, Then what are you waiting for? Before he could finish his words, a cold light shot out from below. Bite! The crisp sound echoed in the forest. The Nekomata's sharp claws blocked Chiba. It seems that you three are still a little unconvinced. Chenny took a few steps back and said. In that case, I'll leave it to you. Naruto, Sasuke, take these three down. Hearing Chiba's words, Uzumaki Naruto was the first to rush forward. With swift speed, he rushed straight towards the enemy team's camp. Uchiha Sasuke hesitated for a moment, seeming somewhat reluctant. But when he saw Chenny's dangerous look, he still rushed forward. These three people from Sunagakur had never appeared in Chiba's memory. Therefore, in terms of strength, it seems a bit mediocre. Whether it's Uchiha Sasuke at this stage, or Uzumaki Naruto whose strength has greatly increased. They can't stop it. At the cost of some minor injuries, the two men successfully pinned the three people to the ground. Huff huff. The two men were breathing heavily and looked a little embarrassed. The three people of Sunagakur mainly use wind style. The strong wind caused the two people's clothes to be torn. Now we can. Forget it, let's just get started. Chenny did not hide anything and took out all the valuable things from him. Except for a large number of ninja tools. The most valuable thing in Sunagakur is poison. What surprised Chiba was that there was actually a puppeteer here. The puppets they use are just universal models. But overall, it is still extremely valuable. But there is one thing that is a bit regrettable. That was the scroll for this team, not the book of earth they needed. It's a pity. Chenny shook his head, tore the clothes of the three people into rags, and then tied them together. Then, they tied the poor Sunagakur team directly to a big tree. Work completed successfully. Uchiha Sasuke and Uzumaki Naruto were stunned by his quick and swift movements. They always felt that something was wrong with Chiba. Here's a good one. Chiba casually threw the Book of Heaven to Uchiha Sasuke. I'll feel more at ease if you hold me. This thing is very valuable. He now has bolder ideas. Sometimes, people can do anything to survive. Chiba stretched out his arms and pulled Uchiha Sasuke and Uzumaki Naruto to him. I have a plan to make money. Would you like to listen to it? He had a mysterious expression and an inexplicable light flashed in his eyes. Uzumaki Naruto has always been short of money and understands the importance of money. Immediately, he said excitedly. Listen, listen. Uchiha Sasuke has never had to worry about money because of his family land. I don't. Before he could finish his words, he was interrupted by Chenny. The majority is subject to the minority. Listen to me. As he tells his plan. Uchiha Sasuke and Uzumaki Naruto both showed surprise on their faces. After a brief thought, yo, Uzumaki Naruto is still as thick-skinned as ever. Then let's go. Uchiha Sasuke, on the other hand, thinks more. By the way, won't we offend all the candidates if we do this? In this regard, he is still relatively cautious. Chenny patted his shoulder and said confidently. Except for a few who cheat, the big players disguise themselves as newbies. Even if the others come together, there won't be any problem. Although I don't understand what Chiba is saying. But this did not prevent Uchiha Sasuke from seeing the confident look in his eyes. Forget it. Never mind. Since Chiba is so confident, what should I worry about? Uchiha Sasuke shook his head, pushing those thoughts out of his mind. He now has only one goal. That is to pass the exam. After a short rest, Chiba looked at Nekomata and said. Nekomata, the task of searching for the other teams is now up to you. The future of Polygonum Multiflorum and Catnip will all be determined by this exam. Chenny threatened. If you don't work hard, these two will be out of stock. Hearing this, the cat shuddered again and prepared for battle. Make sure to complete the mission. As it spoke, it lay prone on the ground, twitching its nose hard. Soon, the cat pointed to the north. 2,000 meters ahead, there is a damp smell. Chenny was very satisfied, nodded and said. Set off. Our slogan is, grab them all. Uzumaki Naruto was very excited and shouted. Grab them all. Uchiha Sasuke, on the other hand, seemed a little embarrassed to be associated with these two people, and his face turned red but he was unwilling to speak. He now feels a little regretful. When the three of them arrived at the location Nekomata mentioned, they found that there were only two people on the other side. So they are ninjas from Rain Shinobi Village. Chenny crouched on a branch and observed the two of them. Although they seemed to be resting, the dense metal wires around them exposed the trap. This trap is a bit crude. Naruto, Shadow Clone Jaw Transformation Technique. Hearing Chiba's words, Uzumaki Naruto was slightly stunned, but he quickly reacted. When it comes to fighting, Naruto's brain is more than enough. The next moment, Naruto's two shadow clones transformed into Chiba and Sasuke and jumped down from the branches. Haha, you two better hand over the scrolls. Look at the silly looks of the three shadow clones below. Chiba suddenly felt a little regretful. It seems like I made a wrong decision. The ninjas of Rain Shinobi Village's eyes lit up when they saw Shadow Clone. Tiger Seal. The hand seals are formed and the trap is activated. A dark shadow fell from the sky. The Rain Shinobi Village ninjas used local materials to build traps with branches and soil, which seemed to be very useful. Boom! Naruto's Shadow Clone didn't even have time to react before it was covered underneath. Bang! It reached its limit of damage tolerance and disappeared immediately. The smile on the Rain Shinobi Village ninja's face suddenly froze. Wind-style great breakthrough. A strong wind swept in from all heights, as if countless blades were contained within it. The surrounding trees suffered, countless branches and leaves were shattered, and the scene was in a mess. The Rain Shinobi Village ninja was unable to dodge in time and was blasted dozens of meters away. It seems that we have overestimated their strength. Chiba stretched out his arms, jumped down from the tree, and came in front of the two people. The Oboro from Rain Shinobi Village disappeared somewhere, leaving only these two. You two, let me explain robbery. Looking at Chenny's devilish smile. The two people from Rain Shinobi Village shuddered. After a while, they were stripped clean. No extra nonsense. Sasuke, keep this. Chiba throws the Book of Earth to Sasuke. This thing is our proof of passing the exam. The cat continues, the next batch of victims. Uchiha Sasuke hurriedly put the Book of Earth away. His face flushed slightly and there was a hint of excitement in his eyes. It seems that this behavior is also quite interesting. The efficiency of the Nekomata is far superior to that of some ninja dogs. As a member of the two-tailed cat family, its sense of smell is even better than that of other cats. The efficiency of Chiba and others is also extremely high. With the cat leading the way. In just half a day, 3 more groups of people fell into Chenny's hands. Considering that there was a female ninja among them, Chiba left a set of clothes for her. The Death Forest is neither small nor big. Soon, a very important piece of information spread among the candidates. A group of poor and crazy robbers broke into the Forest of Death. They were accompanied by a giant vicious cat, which was very cruel. And the strength is extremely strong. Any ninja they discovered would be doomed to be robbed. As for the 3 people who were getting into the mood, they did not stop their sinful behavior just because night fell. Strike while the iron is hot. The dark environment is more suitable for cat tracking. It was not until dawn that the 3 people from Class 7 stopped. Several kunai, shurikens, and Hyoryoku pills. Chiba counted his harvest. Yes, he shamelessly claimed these things as his own. Sasuke is not short of money, but Naruto still has to rely on him for support. The big part comes next. 10 scrolls, 4 from the Book of Heaven and 6 from the Book of Earth. There was a gleam of excitement in Chenny's eyes. Next, we will go to the center of the Death Forest and guard it. The final task is to sell the qualification to pass the second exam. Hearing Chiba's words, Uchiha Sasuke's eyes flashed with doubt. You took away all the valuable things from those examinees. How can they come up with the money to buy it? Chenny smiled slightly and said. At most 13 groups of candidates pass the exam. In this way, we have eliminated at least 10 groups of candidates. The Book of Earth and the Book of Heaven are both indispensable. Those candidates who were not snatched by us want to pass the second exam. Then you must come to me to buy the scroll. Chiba is very confident about this. The scope of the entire Death Forest is not small, just the distance from the exit to the central tower. It's a full 10 kilometers away. Even if these candidates tried their best, it would still take more than 2 hours. Simply put, the so-called Death Forest is a circle with a radius of 10 kilometers. However, finding one of the scrolls that corresponds to your team is already a rather troublesome task. Not to mention finding more scrolls. Even Chiba and the others were only able to find so many scrolls thanks to Nekomata's powerful sense of smell. In addition, perhaps Akamaru of Inuzuka Kiba also has such ability. But judging by the time, this team should have passed the exam. Among all the candidate groups, this group has the strongest ability to survive in the wild. They have the ability to pass the exams quickly. In addition, Chiba also felt a little strange. You have to know that a cat's sense of smell is not enough to distinguish people it has never seen before. Chiba did not deliberately order the ninjas to avoid Konoha. But the amazing thing is that among the 10 teams of examinees, not a single one was a ninja from Konoha. Maybe I'm overthinking it. Chenny scratched his head and didn't take it to heart. Let's take a break first. He looked towards the east, where the sun was just beginning to turn pale. After a night of running around, the other two were also very tired. Of course, Chiba was fine. With his spirit, he can definitely go without sleep for several days. However, in order to better sell the scrolls, Chiba decided to take a break. As for letting the guard out, it is naturally the Nekomata's responsibility. 3 hours later, it was already daybreak. The sun shines through the leaves, casting dotted reflections of Madara. Hey, you two little brats, it's time to wake up. Chiba stretched his somewhat stiff body and let Nekomata manipulate the two of them. Uchiha Sasuke naturally reacted very quickly. The moment the cat approached, he woke up. He rolled over and took the kunai in his hand. As for Naruto, even though the cat used its claws to poke him again, he was not woken up. This kid really trusts us. Chenny sighed, harder. The cat heard the instruction again and slapped it with its paw. Based on its understanding of Uzumaki Naruto, this claw was enough to wake it up. Enemy. In comparison, Naruto seemed a little slow to react. But Chiba doesn't think so. Uzumaki Naruto behaved this way because he was completely confident in himself. Otherwise, he wouldn't have fallen into a deep sleep. You know, during yesterday's robbery, Uzumaki Naruto's physical exertion was the greatest among the three. Whenever there was a fight, Chiba would stand aside and watch. Full control, with Uchiha Sasuke and Uzumaki Naruto. Uzumaki Naruto is responsible for frontal attacks, while Uchiha Sasuke is responsible for sneak attacks. Although the two of them were strong, they were ultimately outnumbered by the other teams. Therefore, a lot of physical energy is also consumed. Alright Naruto, time to head to the central tower. Chiba finished stretching, and the bones in his body made crackling sounds. At that moment, the aura emanating from his body immediately shocked Uchiha Sasuke, who was observing from the side. Are there any hidden strengths? What a horrible person. Chiba looked at Nekomata and said, by the way, you follow them both. I still have some things I need to take care of. The most important thing has not been completed yet. Chiba will never forget the purpose of taking this exam. Hearing his words, the cat was startled again and asked, Boss, aren't you worried that our scroll will be snatched away by other teams? Chiba walked up to the Nekomata, patted its big head, and said, of course I'm worried, so, I allow you to display your full strength. As soon as these words came out, Uchiha Sasuke's pupils shrank suddenly. Nekomata actually has hidden strength. Why are the people around Chenny growing so fast in strength? When he thought about his own strength, he suddenly felt confused. Perhaps, I should practice with Chenny. Uchiha Sasuke looked at Chiba. But he found that Chenny was looking at him with interest. What are you thinking about, Sasuke? This kid seemed a little uneasy from the moment on, and Chenny noticed it very early on. No, nothing. Uchiha Sasuke avoided Chiba's gaze and was unwilling to discuss this further. Chiba ignored him and left after giving Nekomata some instructions. Orochimaru, here I come. His eyes were burning with fighting spirit. Chiba was flying through the woods, and his clothes had been greatly altered. The hem of the shirt was cut several times, and the sleeves were torn off. The wristbands on both hands reflect the metallic luster. Chenny formed a seal with one hand, pressed it on his chest, and said softly, open. The next moment, the natural energy in the forest gathered towards it madly. The black pupil suddenly flashed with golden light. The black mark crisscrosses the center of the pupil, giving people a sense of mystery. The golden red eye shadow surrounding the eye sockets adds a touch of elegance. Sage mode has always been one of Chiba's trump cards. This time after separating from Naruto and the others, he also showed his true strength. After all, forcing Orochimaru back from the forest of death is not an easy task. With the activation of Sage mode, its perception ability has been expanded several times. In the entire Death Forest, no one's chakra can escape his perception. This is also the result of Chenny's practice. The enhanced strength of Sage mode is built on its own strength. If Chiba's own strength is only at the level of genin, then even with a plugin like Sage Mode, it is impossible to fully unleash its true potential. But when Chiba's own strength is enough to deal with Jonin, turning on Sage Mode will bring an even more terrifying increase. Orochimaru's chakra. Chiba turned his self-perception to the maximum. Found it. Hey, it looks like there are other people here. His figure was moving quickly among the woods. It only took a few minutes to arrive at where Orochimaru was. Originally Mitarashi Anko. After seeing the person confronting Orochimaru, Chiba frowned. We can't let the people in the village see us like this. At least not now. While talking to himself, he pulled out a mask from the ninja tool bag he carried with him. Chiba had been prepared for this situation. The mask is all white, but has fox hair painted on it. The muzzle is also slightly protruding, making it look like a pure white fox. Orochimaru, what is your purpose in coming to Konoha? Mitarashi Anko looked at his former teacher with a wary look on his face. She was one of the few people who understood how terrifying the person in front of her was. Whether in terms of strength or character, Orochimaru's level of terror was the most serious among all the ninjas he knew. Don't be so nervous, little Anko. Compared to Mitarashi Anko's serious preparations, Orochimaru seemed very relaxed. He knew the apprentice he had brought up very well. If it was any other ninja, perhaps Orochimaru would look him in the eye. But when facing Mitarashi Anko, he couldn't concentrate at all. After all of Mitarashi Anko's skills were taught by Orochimaru. I'm just here to look for a young man with potential. Orochimaru's expression looked very calm. The original target was the orphans of the Uchiha clan. But along the way, I discovered young people with even greater potential. Perhaps, he has the potential to surpass the Uchiha clan's talent. Chenny hid behind the dense leaves and touched his nose. Are you talking about me? Should I be proud or scared to be targeted by Orochimaru? Compared to Uchiha Sasuke, Chiba also has a strong desire for power. But he would not accept the so-called curse. Bang! While Chiba was thinking, the battle below broke out instantly. Mitarashi Anko is very familiar with his teacher's language ability. She didn't want to fall into his linguistic trap. Still, it's better to decide quickly. Its swift figure rushed straight towards Orochimaru. From the concise physical skills, it can be seen that his Jonin level is not adulterated at all. But after a few moves, Mitarashi Anko pressed Orochimaru against the thick tree trunk. Let's die together, Orochimaru-sensei. A hint of determination flashed in Mitarashi Anko's eyes. Blood splattered. The kunai in his hand suddenly pierced through his left palm and Orochimaru's right palm. You once taught me a fatal ninjutsu. Double snake killing technique. Mitarashi Anko's right hand faced Orochimaru's left hand, with a tendency to form a tiger seal. You're already a little flustered when you see me. Orochimaru's voice came from behind him. Little Anko, you kind of disappoint me. Mitarashi Anko's face suddenly changed, and he saw Orochimaru in front of him turning into mud and melting down. She turned around and saw Orochimaru looking at her very calmly. I couldn't even tell the clone apart. It seems that my previous teachings have been in vain. Mitarashi Anko suddenly fell to her knees, clutching her white neck tightly. When he actually faced Orochimaru, the curse had already taken effect. She looked at Orochimaru with some resentment, and there was a hint of fear in the depths of her eyes. She had no way to deal with her former teacher, Mitarashi Anko. Hey, Orochimaru-senpai. A somewhat young voice sounded above the two of them. Long time no see. Chiba appeared without warning. This surprised both Orochimaru and Mitarashi Anko. Who is this person? Mitarashi Anko looked at the person in front of him in surprise. He is not tall, perhaps a little shorter than her. However, the aura he exudes gives people a strong sense of oppression. If we just look at the aura, the person in front of us can be compared to Orochimaru. Just a passerby. Chenny extended his hand and said hello. I just found the trace of Orochimaru-senpai, so I came here specially. Hearing this, Mitarashi Anko gritted his teeth. Orochimaru's lackey. Konoha's police system is getting worse and worse. In response, Chiba denied. I am not Orochimaru-senpai's subordinate. The purpose of this visit is also to compete with Senior Orochimaru. The Death Forest is my territory. Orochimaru's eyes flickered with interest. When I first saw this person in front of me, I was a little confused. But as he observed more deeply, he finally discovered the identity behind the pure white fox mask. Chiba jumped down and landed on a thick tree trunk with his back to Anko. Anko-senpai, we still need you to preside over the central tower. You might as well leave this to me. Mitarashi Anko bit her lower lip lightly, her eyes full of confusion as she looked at Chiba. But the other party is. Before she could finish her words, she was interrupted by Orochimaru. Anko, don't interrupt my conversation with this person. He has the strength to fight me. Hearing this, Chenny spread his hands, feeling helpless. Hiding one's identity from Orochimaru is harder than climbing to the sky. In Chiba's opinion, this Sannin is the most intelligent person in the entire ninja world. No, don't die. Mitarashi Anko left after saying this. Its sound echoed through the woods. I'll bring someone to rescue you. In Mitarashi Anko's opinion, no matter who it is, no one can confront Orochimaru head-on. His former mentor was an S-rank wanted ninja in the ninja handbook. Sensing the gradual disappearance of Mitarashi Anko chakra, Orochimaru looked up at Chiba. Sure enough, you are the young man with the greatest potential. I made the right decision not to bet on Sasuke. His eyes were full of desire for life. Chiba took off the pure white fox mask on his face. He quite likes this mask, but it cannot be broken in the battle. As expected, I can't hide it from Orochimaru-senpai. But can you guess why I came here? Orochimaru was surprised at the change on Chiba's face, and his expression was a little stunned. For the first time, he realized that things were beyond his control. As the #1 scientist in the ninja world, the scope of his research is beyond everyone's imagination. Abundant natural energy, Mount Myoboku's sage mode. As early as when he saw Chiba just now, Orochimaru noticed that something was wrong. Although I had some guesses in my mind, I was not sure. Because this speculation is too horrifying. Even better, he uses the living corpse reincarnation technique. You just said that the Death Forest is your territory. Then Chenny, your purpose should be to expel me. As smart as Orochimaru is, he can guess Chiba's purpose just from the words. Chenny nodded as a matter of course. Orochimaru-senpai, you guessed right. That's exactly what I'm aiming for. So, for the sake of peace between us, do you choose to leave on your own? Or I'll drive you out with violence. When saying this, Chiba's young face and his tone formed a sharp contrast. Hearing his words, Orochimaru laughed instead of getting angry. Peaceful, you're discussing peace with Konoha's S-rank wanted ninja. Chiba used a kunai to nail the mask in his hand to the trunk of a tree in the distance. With exquisite control, the mask was not damaged at all. If you think about it carefully, there is no conflict of interest between us. Chiba tried to use the great trick. Maybe in the future, we can reach some cooperation or something. So, Orochimaru shook his head and refused. I need to see your true potential. Not everyone is qualified to work with me. And unfortunately, it seems that your body is not meant for me. After confirming Chiba's current condition, Orochimaru gave up trying to seize his body. After all, the energy of the seal comes from natural energy. Will normal sage mode conflict with curse mode? Orochimaru is also unknown. Of course, judging from the aura that Chenny exudes now, it is extremely difficult to place a curse on it. Chenny was helpless and said, in that case, we have no choice but to fight. When facing Orochimaru, it is better to strike first. Chenny's eyes were sharp and he was ready for battle. Fire-style great fireball technique. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe for more videos.